Today I feel vindicated, guys, because we are getting a new bracket system to talk about. We've got some cards leaving the Game Changers list, some cards are getting added to the Game Changers list, and overall we're getting a revamp of the system. They have very clearly taken community feedback and implemented a lot of what the community was asking for, so we're going to get right into that. After you guys click on that whatnot link and claim your free $15, additionally you guys can get 10% off all of your Tolarian Library proxies whenever you use code DT4D. My friends over at Baron of the Dice are having a 15% off site-wide sale until the end of October. So now's the time to go pick up those awesome playmats and deck boxes that match. These are high quality and overall just unique. I'm really just in love with the look and feel of these deck boxes. When it comes to these guys, yes, they sponsor me, but I am a customer first. So I had to let you guys know, go get everything while it's 15% off until the end of the month. The first thing they're adding is a turn expectation to each bracket. And I think that's the number one thing the community, myself included, was asking for. Whenever I did my own updated version of the bracket system, the first thing I harped on was we need a turn expectation, and they delivered. So I'm very happy about that. In bracket 1, you can expect 9 turns, and what they mean by this is you can expect to lose turn 10. You're going to see your turn 9 and then lose turn 10 to somebody, or you win turn 10. At bracket 2, you can expect 8 turns, meaning 9 is when someone wins. At bracket 3, you can expect 6, meaning the winning turn is 7. And at bracket 4, you can expect 4, meaning the winning turn is 5. And then at bracket 5 CEDH, this one gets crazy because of meta, but we all understand what people are talking about when they're talking about CEDH. They can either go long or in pretty quickly, depending on what the decks are at the table. If you run into 4 control decks, you're going to have a longer game. If you run into 4 turbo decks, that game's going to be pretty short. So this one's kind of like non-deterministic, but it doesn't matter for the grand scheme of casual Commander. Now let's go over what they've changed about the bracket systems overall. They've made it a lot more vague when it comes to the expectations. They've gotten rid of a lot of, hey, you can't have tutors in this bracket, you can have tutors in this bracket. They, for the most part, have gotten rid of the hard cutoffs, right? 3 game changers, 3 tutors, that doesn't exist anymore. And the reason they're able to do this is because they've added the turn restrictions, which again, I think was the best decision they could make. And I'm super excited they made that decision. Let's just go ahead and read off the brackets so you guys can get a loose understanding. At brackets 1, you have Exhibition, decks that prioritize a goal, theme, or idea over power. Rules around card legality or viable commanders to have some flexibility depending on the pod, meaning you can play uncommanders and stuff like that, weird stuff that people just rule 0 in, win conditions to be highly thematic or substandard, and then you have gameplay to be an opportunity to show off your creation. This very clearly does fit in the bracket 1 for me. Moving on to bracket 2, we have Core, decks to be optimized and straightforward with some cards chosen to maximize creativity or entertainment. Win conditions to be incremental, telegraphed, on the board, and disruptible. Gameplay to be low pressure with an emphasis on social interaction. Gameplay to be proactive and considerate, letting each deck showcase its path. Again, this is looking to end turn 8. Bracket 3, upgraded, decks to be powered up with strong synergy, high card quality. They can effectively disrupt opponents. Game changers are likely to be value engines and game-ending spells. Win conditions that can be deployed in one big turn from hand usually because of its steadied accrued resources, and gameplay to feature many proactive and reactive plays. Again, this fits perfectly in bracket 3 for me. The majority of my decks fit there, and it kind of fits there with the turn winning game as well. Most games will end turn 7. Bracket 4, players can expect decks not to adhere to the CEDH metagame reserved for bracket 5. Decks to be lethal, consistent, and fast, designed to take people down as fast as possible. Game changers that are likely to be fast mana, snowballing resources engines, free disruption, and tutors. Win conditions to vary but to be efficient and instantaneous. Gameplay to be explosive and powerful, featuring huge threats and efficient disruption to match. And then finally, we have CEDH. My favorite thing that they added was in bracket 4, they're talking about free interaction, which I think is very important when you're talking about that in a casual standpoint, because free interaction, I think, is what takes a casual deck that has very strong win cons and just takes it a little bit notch above the next one, just because you're going to have more resources to protect your win, and your wins become very efficient at some point during that. As a creator, one of my biggest problems with the previous bracket system is somebody would ask me what bracket my deck was in, and I'd have to ask myself, what I reliably think it could win against, or I'd have to ask myself, are they talking about like literally what it fits in? And people are like, well, obviously we're talking about what it literally fits in, like what are the restrictions? And then half of the other internet was obviously they're talking about what power it can kind of hold its own at. And everybody talked in definites. And when I'm reading the comments and someone's like, obviously this one, and another person's like, obviously this one, and those comments aren't seeing each other, it just confuses me, right? So I just kind of stayed out of putting my decks in a certain bracket, and I kind of just let Moxville do its thing. Some of that led to, I don't know, a VV deck that was winning consistently turn 5 into being put in a bracket 2. I don't think that deck's a bracket 2, but if you looked at Moxville, you could see that that VV deck was bracket 2. But now, under the new rules, it's very clearly going to be put in a higher bracket just because of the turn it's winning on, and that is something I'm very, very happy to see, and I think it clears up a lot of confusion. So overall, I think brackets are in the right direction, and honestly, I do see the fact that brackets have just upped the overall conversation around Rule 0, which was their overall goal in the first place, so, you know, kudos for them for achieving that part. I do want to be very positive on this video because they have taken a lot of the stuff that the community asked for and given it to us, right? So I do think this is a lot better than the original version because it not only clarifies a lot of what people were confused on by adding the turn-based restriction, and along with the wording, I think they match very well together now. But whenever you looked at the old bracket system, you could kind of fit a CEDH deck in a bracket 2 if you followed the rules literally, and that was just a lot of confusion for a lot of players. But again, I do think the goal to just add the conversation has been very efficient. Now let's get into what they're adding to the Game Changers list and what they're removing. The first thing they're removing is the commanders, which I'm very, very happy for, because trying to put Yuriko in a deck in the 99 and it automatically getting pushed up to a bracket 3, I mean, that doesn't really matter anymore because of the turn restrictions, but it did just kind of feel bad, right? And so now they're saying, hey, commanders are the easiest thing to opt out of, so they're taking the majority, almost all of the commanders, honestly, off of the Game Changers list. Yuriko, Winota, Urza, and Kinnan, they're all going to be off the Game Changers list. So now if you want to run Kinnan in your ramp deck to get explosive ramp, it's okay, and you're not going to get called out for using a Game Changer, when in reality they were putting Kinnan on the list because it's kind of banned as commander, which got ruled too confusing before, but they tried to bring it back. And then they're like, nope, no, we're not going to do that. People are just going to understand that you can easily opt out of these commanders. And I think, again, that's a step in just the right direction. They're also removing a lot of expensive cards. They're getting rid of Vorinclex, Sway the Stars, Jingataxis, Expropriate, also are getting off of the Game Changers list. If you get enough mana to cast those, or you're cheating them out into play, you've gone through the hoops and you deserve it. That's kind of the gist I got from the blog post. Food Chain is also getting removed. This is one of those cards that they admitted was very powerful, especially when it comes to combo, but they do go ahead and say, hey, since we've added these turn restrictions to each bracket, combo is going to kind of find its own niche where it needs to be. If the goal of the deck is to tutor up Food Chain as fast as possible, cast it and combo off, you're probably playing CEDH or a bracket 4 at least, and because it self-regulates that way, we can take it off the Game Changers list. One that I don't agree with is they took Deflecting Swat off the list. I think all free interaction needs to be a game changer. Free interaction is quite simply game changing. I try to remove something, I try to counter something, and it doesn't get countered. A lot of what Deflecting Swat is doing is it's protecting your wins more so than stopping your opponents. So 9 times out of 10, when someone goes to counter your win con, you just Deflecting Swat, and then that Deflecting Swat is able to counter the counter spell. So it still does a very, very good job at protecting your wins, and it's free interaction, and that's why it's super powerful. So I don't get taking this one off, but you know, like I said, overall, this has just been very good changes, and I'm very happy to see them go in this direction. With that being said, I'll leave the question off to you guys. How do you guys feel about the new bracket system? I'm personally super optimistic, and I think this just sets a clearer tone, and it's more geared towards kind of expanding on the Rule 0 conversation, which is what it was supposed to do in the first place, and I think it really does succeed at that, and it does it very, very well. But again, I'll leave it off to you guys. What do you guys think in the comments down below?